In this video, you are going to be watching my workflow on how I do my tattoo stencils using an iPad and an Apple Pencil. Now, I've done a video on stencils in the past, but I get people asking me for a stencil video all the time, so why not give you the updated version? So let's have a little disclaimer. You do not need an Apple iPad or a Apple Pencil to do your tattoo stencils. Paper, pencil, and a bit of carbon paper works absolutely fine, and I used that for the majority of my career. So please, for the love of God, do not go spending that hard-earned cash that you promised your missus for her top-up Botox injections, because you really don't need to. I would only ever buy if you have the spare money and you can afford it, because otherwise it's really not worth it. Now, I do say that it's not worth it, but I have done a video here of pencil versus iPad, so if you want to go check that out, do that after this video and make your own mind up. Now, I've kept you for long enough, so let's get right into the stencil. So firstly, always make sure that you have a new layer selected. You can see layer 3 completely blank. There's nothing worse than doing your full stencil and realizing that you've done it on the wrong layer. Now, there is a way of correcting that if you ever did do that. I'm sure you've all seen it. It went pretty viral on like TikTok and stuff like that, all right? But yes, new layer. Now, the pen that I'm using is what comes as standard with Procreate, and that is just the technical pen. Now, if we click on the pen, you can see that the pressure is off. That is one of the most important things, is to have that pressure turned off. You don't want to be doing a line and then suddenly pressing on to your iPad and then that line becomes thicker. It's just not good. So make sure that your Apple Pencil pressure is turned off. Now, on the technical pen, on the left hand side, you can see that I've got 3 different sizes set up. One of the sizes is, where is it? 20%. One size is 10%. And then the next size is, 5%, 6%, roughly around about that. So I use the 5%, 6% one to get into some really, really tight areas. Now, the 5% one is small enough to get into those areas, but it's also small enough to be seen on carbon paper. If you do your lines too thin, the carbon will not pick it up and they will not be there on your stencil. 5% on technical pen works pretty well. Now, you've got the 10% version. Now, the 10% of the same brush is what I use primarily for the entire stencil process. That is my number one go-to. It's not very often I use the 5. The 5's only there if I need it. And then we have the 20% brush, which is for like fatter areas, just to vary up line weight and stuff. So say I'm doing a 3-liner tattoo, what I would do is get the 20% one and use that to go all the way around the outside of my image. Then I would use the 10% one to go on the inside of the image. And then I would use the 5% one to go on to the small areas close up to the lines and any smaller areas that I can't get into. But generally, everything is done off that 10% one. Now, when it comes to doing my actual stencil, what I am going for is the hard lines. Now, the hard lines is, like I said, just using the 10%, going all the way around, not breaking up that line. So to go around the outline of something. Now, when it comes to the inside, I'm generally breaking up the line when I'm going round tones. So if we go like over in, let's say, this area at the top here, I can see that it comes down here and around there. I will break up that line just like that, so I know the difference or can easily tell the difference just by a quick glance. What you don't want to be doing is doing like little dashes going around all the way like this, because then your stencil's not going to last as long. The longer dashes work a lot better than these small little dots. So what I would do is just carry on going around all these petals with my 10%, creating hard lines, because again I'm going around the outside like so. Now if there is a hard line in the middle of the petal like this shadow here, then I'll keep that as a hard line also, with some breakups, just because that is just so easy to read. So if you want to hardline that, or you want to break up the line, then you can and stuff like that. But when it comes to actual tonal like changes and values, I am always doing like little dashes, all right, where I can see there's a tonal value change. Coming around here, obviously on the inside, that's a nice hard line. It's a nice straight edge. It's the petal. Same coming around this way. And then on the inside, I can see, break up that line where that black is. You've got another hard line coming down this way. Break up that black there. So you can see where the values change, all right? So it's pretty simple stuff. Now your stencil can be as complicated or as easy as you want. Your stencil is your roadmap, and it's to get you from A to B. It's as simple as that. How you get from A to B is entirely up to you. But for me, I would rather have as much information in my stencil so I can get from A to B easier than missing out what's in between. So if you have a road that comes up there, and you have a road that comes up there, and you've got a gap in between. So this is the best way that I explain it. Say that that squiggly line is missing map. You might be thinking, oh well, the road's straight there and the road's straight there, so obviously we go straight, right? But if you put a section of that map back in, what you might find is it doesn't just go straight and carry on, it goes around, all the way around, squiggly lines all the way around, and then connects up to that line. So you wouldn't know that without the information, and that is the way that I look at my stencils. It's not as clean cut as what you might think it is. I would rather have that information, that missing information, and if I use it, I use it. If I don't, I don't, but it's there and I know my right way of getting from A to B. I hope that makes sense. I really hope that makes sense. So you can put in as much info or as little info as you want, but that is just my take on it. I would rather have as much info in there as possible. However, when it comes to these small, like textured areas, what I'd like to do is again take the 10 and just put like a few of them in there. I don't put them all in there, because if you put them all in there, what's going to happen is when you carbon and you put that carbon on skin, all of those lines that are so close together, if you don't do your carbon right, are just going to like merge together and just be a mess. So I only put in a few of the textured like details. I don't want to be, overcomplicating it. Yes, I want the information there, but I don't want to overcomplicate it. And even for me, sometimes I've done my stencils a little bit too detailed, and I'm thinking, what's that bit and what's that bit, and especially if I'm doing like hair, like lion manes and stuff like that. Okay, it's hard to keep track of. So that's another reason to why I just put the bare minimum, just to give the idea of what's there, and then I can make up around those reference points that I've put in. Now, if you did actually want to put them in, then obviously this would be a time for the 5%, and then you can get in those smaller gaps all the way around these little gaps, just to, you know, give you your more detailed roadmap. But like I said, I don't recommend that. And then when you've gone through your entire stencil, oh my god, I've always wanted to do this. Here is one that I made earlier. Bosh. You can see where I have broken up the tones using squiggly, slightly broken lines and using hard lines for the outside or inside petals, depending on where I am stenciling. But that is the basic breakdown of a stencil. Now, looking at the stencil, this would be good enough for me. I could quite easily use this, but you can take the stencil to the next level by putting in these little bits around here. I can see where the tone breaks up in that petal. I can see around this bit, you know, I can see where it breaks up in that bit there. I can see, you know, all the textures in this bit, you know. So this is what I'm saying. You can make it as complicated or as easy as you like, just as long as the information is there good enough for you to do a good job, to do a good tattoo. You know, some artists will get like a general basic outline down for this particular tattoo. They get the outline in and the petals, and then they are off. And each to their own. But again, for me, I cannot reiterate that the most important thing is stencil. If you have a good stencil, you have a good tattoo, providing that you put that stencil on correctly on skin. If you put that stencil on skin wrong, your tattoo will be wrong. It's as clean cut as that. There's nothing I can say. If you put a stencil on wrong, your tattoo, no matter how good you've stenciled it, is going to be wrong. But guys, that is all for today. If you are new around here, do not forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell to get notified every time I upload a new video. If you want extra benefits than other than these videos, and you want online private critiques, and you want me on tap to answer all your questions, then you can join my Patreon. Link is in the description. But guys, I will see you all in the next video. Oh, by the way, could it be that I have some merch coming soon? See ya.